Hello! On this video we will be reviewing a few problems for Module 3. I looked through the quiz and noticed that these problems were very frequently missed, so hopefully you take the time to look through and understand how to do these. So let's start with this first one. We have 11 and a half minus 4 5/6. So first thing we need to do when we're adding or subtracting fractions, we always have to get a common denominator. So we've got 2 here and 6 here. Well, I noticed 2 goes into 6, so I'm just going to change this one by multiplying 3 on both. So I'll get 11 and 3/6, and I'm going to go ahead and write this vertical style, minus 4 5/6. Well, now I want to subtract, but I have a problem. 3 is less than 5, and so the 3/6 is not going to be able to subtract the 5/6. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to borrow one of the wholes right here. Okay, so this is going to become 10, and then I'm going to have another whole. So this makes 11, 6 makes 11, and then I still have that 3/6. So again, I have to borrow from this 11 because I need more numbers in the numerator so that I can subtract 5. So here's my 10, 6 makes 11, and 3/6. So then this really becomes 10 and 9/6 minus 4 and 5/6. And now I can do it. So 9/6 minus 5/6 is just going to be 4/6. 10 minus 4 is 6. And then I want to look, can I simplify? Well, yeah, with 4/6, they both divide by 2. So I'm going to divide both by 2, and I'll end up with 6 2/3. So on this one, the main key is first get a common denominator, and then you have to borrow so that there's enough in this numerator to subtract here. Okay, the second problem seems to be one that many students were struggling with. So 2x over 3 minus 1 equals 1. So on this one, since there's just the one fraction right here, I would probably just add the 1 to both sides. Let's get that canceled out. So that's gone. We get 2x over 3 equals 2. Now, whenever we have a fraction multiplied by the variable, we can multiply by the reciprocal. So that means we flip it. So we'll have 3 halves on both sides. So these will both cancel, and we end up with just x, and actually the 2's will cross cancel. Again, if you're not comfortable with that though, you can just make it 2 times 3 is 6 over 2, or you can cross cancel. Either way, you're going to end up with 3. So in this case, x will equal 3. Okay? Okay, on this next video, we have a complex fraction. So we're going to have 2/5 plus 7/10 all over 3/4 minus 9/2. So in these ones, the first thing we want to do is we want to get this to be just one fraction and these two to just be one fraction. So I'm going to just do the top first. So I see I've got 10 as a denominator and 5. Well, 5 will go into 10 because I have to have a common denominator when I'm adding or subtracting. So I'm going to make this first one into 10. So I times by 2, times by 2, and I end up with 4/10. Now 4/10 plus 7/10 becomes 11/10. When I'm adding fractions, I add the numerators and keep the denominator the same. Now down here in the denominator, I need to do the same thing. I want to get these into one fraction. Well, again, this works out nicely. 2 and 4 both go into 4, so I can just change this to a 4. So I times by 2 on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to get 9 times 2 is 18. 2 times 2 is 4. So 3/4 minus 18/4, I'm going to get negative 15/4. Okay, and then 11/10 on top. So now I have a fraction right here over a fraction right here. Well, another way I can write that is I can say 11/10 divided by negative 15/4. When I divide fractions, I flip the second fraction and multiply. So that will become 11/10, which stays the same, times 4 over negative 15. Now here I'm going to look to cross cancel. I want to look, are there any numbers that will divide out of the top and out of the bottom? Well, 4 and 10, they're both even numbers, so that means 2 will divide out of both. So I'm going to divide 10 by 2, which is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then I multiply. So 11 times 2 is 22. 5 times negative 15 is negative 75. I want to see, are these going to simplify further? And these two aren't. So that's my final answer there. Okay. All right, last problem. We have negative 1/5 squared plus 3 times 1/5. Now, I wasn't able to see your exact error, but what I'm guessing is it had to do with this first one. So remember, because the negative is on the outside, it's not squared. So it's just going to be 1/5 squared and then bring the negative in. So 1/5 squared is the same as 1/5 times 1/5, which becomes, so 1 times 1 is 1, 5 times 5 is 25. So we'll have 1/5 squared is 1 over 25, and then the negative is still out front. Okay, now we do plus. We're going to multiply these. So 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. And that's the first part. So we have negative 1/25 plus 3/5. Now we still want to combine these together. So when we're adding fractions, what do we have to have? We have to have common denominators. So I notice this is a nice one. Again, I can just multiply by 5 to get 25 here. So I'll multiply 5 here by 5 here. Okay, so we're still going to have negative 1 over 25 plus, so plus 15 over 25. Now when we multiply these, we're going to have, remember, leave the denominator the same, and then we'll have negative 1 plus 15, which becomes 14 over 25. We look, can we simplify anything there? No, so that's our final answer. Hopefully that helps. Make sure to review any problems you did miss, and then let's move on to Module 4. Hope to talk to you soon.